welcome back to Paragon Ridge Ranch. Chrissy here, and today we are going to do a full garden tour. It is June 26th, and I haven't been out here in the garden with you for a while. If you remember my last video about gardening, I did something different this year. So instead of direct sowing in the raised bed gardens and trying to get everything in before or right at the last frost date for Zone 7A, I decided to put everything in the greenhouse, grow them all from seed in containers, and then slowly put them into my raised bed garden as time, weather, and temperature allow. The reason I did that is because last year it rained nonstop for about 6 to 7 weeks. It was going down to the 30s, up to the 70s, down to the 40s, up to the 90s. It was just a horrible year for gardening. And this was my first year gardening here at the homestead in our new raised beds. So this year, I've been slowly putting things out as the temperature was getting higher, the rain was getting lower, and I've slowly put them all out, and now I just want to show you where I'm at. If you watched our rock raised bed gardening video, here it is, right in front of my garden, and we filled it with some dirt. Well, the dirt ended up being clay, and I've had him put it in there so thick, it is a solid mat of clay. I'm not kidding, it rained this morning, but look at this. It is solid clay. Then I had Jeremy use the bobcat and put some compost on top of it. I did that to maybe help break up the clay and see if I could actually plant something in this year. I wanted to plant maybe my melons, maybe some corn, and maybe some leftover plants in it. But as you see, I haven't got that far yet. I'm doing good just to get all these plants in the raised bed garden behind the fence. So let's go take a tour and I'll show you everything. When we built the greenhouse, I wanted it close proximity to the raised bed garden. And the reason I did that is because I knew that I would be in and out all the time, every single day, trying to get this garden going. And of course, this is where I go to relax and hang out. I bought a bench. We've had it right here. Put up a nice little flag. And then we start with an arch. So on this arch, I have some cucumbers growing. This one has already produced a cucumber, and let's see how it's doing. It's got lots of flowers on it. This over here is getting lots of trindles, and it's getting some flowers as well. They are in containers because solid rock underneath the ground, and then here's some of that clay soil. So I made a walkway from the greenhouse to the garden and a walkway from the front of the rock bed garden over into my raised bed garden. I have been battling weeds, and by weeds I mean anything from the forest, anything from that blows up the mountain into my area, also including Bermuda grass. I weed every single day while I'm out here watering in the evenings. I also during the day come out here and pick things constantly. I'm trying to keep up. It makes you want to give up because there's so many weeds and grass, but this is where we're at. I'm going to keep picking weeds every day and hope that things still grow. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This is an oak tree because we're all blackjack oaks and they come up from the roots. I need to get some clippers and clip that. Okay, walking into the garden, I have an arch trellis and I have beans. I have different types of beans growing. As you see, I have them in containers because I do not have a bed here, and they are already producing some beans. Here's those long red beans. Aren't they cute? I also have some mint in here. This right here is peppermint. And then of course I'm overgrown with marigolds, but that's a whole other story. On this side as well, I have different beans growing. I also put a squash plant. This is a patty pan. It was extra and I had nowhere to put it. But here we've got some Usarian wing beans, Kentucky Wonder. Here is some my kale, my brassicas, my beautiful Swiss chard. And these are the weeds that I'm talking about. I have not been weeding in this bed, but look at that. It is just ridiculous. So at this point, I'm just leaving it all because all the lettuces and the Swiss chard are probably almost done. You can see that they're starting to bolt and grow tall here. Look at this Swiss chard. Look how gorgeous this is. It's just so beautiful. And this red cell, that's my favorite lettuce, is the red cell just because it grows prolifically and it's gorgeous and tastes really, really well. Look at this yellow Swiss chard. Now, if you go in and go to the left, this is where I started to do all my peppers. So we have bell peppers. These are green. And then over here, these are all, see those tiny little ones? These are all going to be different colors. White purple, orange, and red. I just planted them from the greenhouse. Hopefully they take off with this heat. These were planted a couple weeks ago, and then these were planted like a month ago, and they are finally just now taking off. I did pinch the tops of them. You can see that they're kind of lanky, but they were tall, and I cut them down, and now I'm waiting for them to bulk out. So when you go left by the peppers, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beds for tomatoes. I have my regular trellises that I was able to use T-posts to hold up the center in both of these beds. And then I built some wood trellises on these 2 beds as an experiment this year. And I have not built one over here yet, but we can start over here. This is all my small cherry tomatoes and grape tomatoes. So what you see mostly in here is my blue creamberries and my creamberries from Baker's Creek. Here is some little peppers that I planted in here because I needed a place for them. This is all my small tomatoes. Nothing yet over on this bed. I do need to get the trellises up. See how, yes. This right here are some of my favorite yellow snow peas. So going back to the left, this is my first bed that I made with our wood trellis. Let's talk about marigolds. Last year I planted marigolds everywhere. I planted them all over the raised bed garden and they took off. They're huge, they're big bushes. I let them go. I let them all go to seed. They fell everywhere and this is what we ended up with. I have picked out many. I've replanted them, I've given them away, and these are the ones that I've left strategically to help combat any kind of pests. Now before I planted everything, I did amend the soil like I did last year. I took in all of our compost, that was the goat manure and the hay from the goat pen, and I refilled all of these raised beds. It works really well, and the tomatoes, as you see, really like that compost. So I'm going to continue to do that every year, but I also do some other additives. I do spray my plants with worm castings tea, and I also sometimes do goat manure tea. So this bed has a variety of different tomatoes. This is a trophy tomato. In the center, I did put some of my favorite peas. This right here is a Rutgers. This is a black Krim. This right here is called a hillbilly snack, is what this one's called. I do have some of them strung up here. Now this one has a tomato that I ate the other day. It was orange and it was right here and it tasted really well. And this is also a hillbilly snack. Got them at a local greenhouse. We'll go on the side. This right here is a pink German. Tomatoes coming on there. This one right here has a lot of tomatoes going on it. Don't know the name of it. This is also a German pink. I've never grown them before, but they seem to be getting really tall and they look very healthy. We're going to go to the third, which is the middle bed. You can see all the different age groups of these tomatoes and the different times that I planted them. Some are tall, some are small. Just last week I planted these and I have not even labeled them yet. So these were the ones that were kind of left over in the greenhouse and I really needed to get them in the ground. So this one is a Mr. Stripey. You can see my little bitty jalapeno plants. This was a volunteer. Again, my little bitty jalapeno plants, how cute is that? This is a beefsteak. And this is a Wapsipecan peach. And look at this. Jalapeno plant's doing so well. This is our middle raised bed in the garden. So let's go one more over to the left. Now these marigolds are bushes. They really are. So this is a volunteer tomato plant. Not quite sure what kind that is. This one right here, look at how big. See this? Such a big, beautiful trunk. All growing strong and big. This one has little bitties on it. Lots of flowers. But look at the stalk. It's so big, like compared to my fingers. Look how thick it is. Let's see, this is a German pink. And it's huge. It's got flowers coming up. It's nice and sturdy. So I'm excited to taste what these tomatoes are gonna be like. This one right here is a Triple L crop. Triple L crop has a huge stalk also. Look at that. Beautiful and tall. This is a Cherokee purple. It's growing tall and bushy, but it's not lanky. Looks like it's going to start putting on some flowers soon. This is an Abe Lincoln. And then over here is a trophy tomato plant. That's what the tomatoes look like on there. And then this is a volunteer. This one was growing and growing and growing that I had to actually hold it up with some trellis tape because it's going crazy. This brings us to our last tomato garden bed over here. Now this one is the very first tomato plantings of the year. So I have my yellow snow peas that I absolutely love. They're starting to die off. And look how tall these are. Like almost as tall as me. So I would say that they're about 4 foot tall. Let me show you these tomatoes. This is called a midnight snack. And look at all these flowers. The midnight snack has already provided a couple tomatoes for me, and these are ready to be picked, these darker red ones. And they taste very sweet. A crunchy skin, but then a soft, smushy, sweet taste right after that. See how they come in a bundle up here? Okay, the next one here is called a hillbilly. And it is just starting to get some flowers. The next one over here, this is my Rutgers. So it's already putting on tomatoes. Beautiful big tomatoes. This last one is an early girl. And this is putting on tomatoes as well. So see the early girls? Look, big, beautiful, and healthy. They really, really love the compost that I amend in there for them. Look at all these tomatoes on this early girl. Back here, I decided to do tomatillos, so they are growing nice and tall. Ever since I planted them, they do have these little holes in them that I've tried to see if there's any kind of insects or pests, but I have not seen any, so I have been spraying it with neem oil. But look at these cute little flowers that they put off. Aren't they cute? I have not seen any tomatillos yet, but I do see some that are starting. Like that right there. That is going to be used to make homemade salsa or pico de gallo. So that is my whole middle section and all my tomato beds right here in the middle of the garden. Now let me show you the back of the raised bed garden area. This is where it gets messy. This trellis last year had beans, peas, loofah, and birdhouse gourds, as you see there, all over it. This year I just wanted to do beans. So I planted some beans in different buckets, and they're not doing well. This is more of a bush variety. It is getting some green beans on it. This was and is now almost gone. These two long beds last year were my brassica beds and okra. I just was able to weed eat this one down because the weeds were up this high and I hadn't got to it yet this year. On this side, I was able to weed and hand pick everything out. It needed to be filled, so I had Jeremy fill it the other day with a goat manure and hay. I did put a trellis for the peas here. And I did plant some over here. However, they all died. Any kind of vining plant, I'm going to try to replant something. Maybe it can grow in the next few months and fill in this space. I'm really not too worried about it because this year's garden is things that we eat and that I know will grow well. And I am taking my time and enjoying it. Instead of last year, I grew so many different vegetables and fruits. Half of them I've never even tried before, and half of them I did not eat. I gave them away. So this year, I'm just taking it easy. I'm experimenting and I'm seeing what works for us at the homestead. This next bed, I did put squashes. So over here we have some spaghetti squash, we have some white patty pans, and we also have some broccoli and cauliflower that were left in the greenhouse, almost died, didn't get them planted, went ahead and planted them last week, and they are doing great. So here are our squashes. That right there is my neem oil. And here are some of the broccolis and the cauliflowers. They're getting big. In the back corner are some cucumbers. They were eaten by the squash bugs, just like everything else has been eaten by the squash bugs. You see these nasty little eggs? Those nasty little eggs are everywhere. I come out here with tape and I roll it up and I stick it to them and pull them all off. I also use this neem oil spray. There's some more. And here's some that have hatched. Look at that. See how the neem oil works? I can't seem to catch up. And this is what happened last year when I walked away from my garden. I have tried everything with these squash bugs. I step on them, I grab them. I don't know what else to do besides the neem oil. I try to stay organic. I'm trying to not have to use 7s, but I also would like to have a harvest. I have strung that up so it can grow up. See the beautiful squash? Okay, so these cucumbers were kind of dying off and not doing so well. They also had some of those squash bugs on them, and I've been spraying them, and they are doing better, and now they're actually growing and trellising. Come on over to this bed. I had 4 big zucchini plants here. 2 were completely annihilated by the squash bugs, and it was so sad because they had big, huge, beautiful zucchinis on it. This here, these are my cosmos. I let them grow. They're crazy. I've already pulled some out. They're taking up way too much room, but here's one that I was able to save a little bit by tearing off some of the leaves. And as you see, we have flowers and fruit. One over here was not so lucky. I was able to clean it up, take all of its leaves off that were dying. But look, as you see, squash bugs. So this is all growing in with grass. And over here are some more butternut squash. And look, they have all the bugs on them. If any of you have any kind of instructions, home remedies, things that you can help me with to get rid of these squash bugs, please, please comment below. I don't know what to do anymore. Like I said last year, this is why I walked away, was because the squash bugs and then the blister beetles all over my tomato plants. Yes, we live on the top of a mountain out in the middle of nowhere that has been thick, thick, thick woods since time began. I understand that, but I've got to find a way to combat these. I mean, I really want to eat squash with my family. I'm really not succeeding. So please, again, if you can, down below, tell me what your home remedies are that are all organic to try to get rid of these squash bugs. Over here, I made a small bed and I planted some cucumbers to go up on this trellis. Here is some more squash. And again, I'm really telling you, like, I just pulled all this out the other day. Already getting all of these little eggs on them. Here are the cucumbers. They're doing really good. They're looking healthy. They're growing. And then I have some over here too. And I try to help guide them up the trellis every day, like so. So that leaves this bed. This bed was 4 foot high with weeds, just kind of like that out there. Flowers, everything just like you see. Just like you see here by my compost bin. This is what was in here. So I went ahead and I weeded it the other day, and now I'm going to come back and I'm going to burn it all with my little fire starter burner and get rid of all this. Then I will rake and hoe it and try to plant. So that was a quick tour of my garden. My messy, growing, green garden. I was almost embarrassed to show it to you, but then I thought, if you all garden, you have the same hardships that I'm having right now. The tomatoes are doing great. The peppers seem to be doing well. Of course, all of our lettuces and Swiss chards are doing beautifully. Now it just needs to grow. Right now, my biggest struggle is going to be the squash bug. If you don't mind, if you have any kind of home remedy or anything that really, really works well, please comment below and let me know what to do about these squash bugs, because I really want to enjoy my squash this year. I've got crooked neck, straight neck, patty pan, spaghetti squash, butternut squash, and then zucchinis. And I haven't been able to enjoy any of them yet because they're still growing, but they're also getting destroyed as they're growing. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video today on my garden tour. Hopefully you stick around. Hopefully you like what you see. On the homestead, we do gardening and we have livestock and poultry. We have a greenhouse. We do hunting, fishing, and land management. That's just a little bit of the things that we do. We also go on ventures off the ranch, so that's always fun, and we love to hang out with our friends, so sometimes you're going to see some videos like that on here too. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. If you like us and you want to subscribe, please go ahead and hit the little subscription button and hit the little alert so you're alerted every single time we upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.